What's up, you guys? What's up? What's up? What's up? It is your girl, Dr. Joy, and I am excited to be here with you all this morning on the Hope and Her podcast, where we talk about what we're talking about. And this is our first Fruits to 40, right? It's our 40-day countdown to my 40th birthday. We are on day 18. We are counting down. We are counting down to it. And so, I'm popping on a little early this morning, or a lot early. It's 5 o'clock instead of at 6 o'clock because I am at the airport. And so the last time when I did it at the airport a few days ago, um, there was a lot of announcements and stuff like that that were going on at that time. But also because of my transfer, um, this morning, so that was a straight through flight. That was like a back to back. Like I left that morning, came back that afternoon, but um, day. But like this is going to be a little bit longer of a travel day. Um, so I wanted to come on because I definitely wanted to honor the first fruit space, but I also wanted to um, make sure that I wanted to make sure that this happened, um, and that I wasn't like when I do my transfer that I'm not trying to like do this in between because it's a really really short transfer, and I didn't realize how short the transfer was until I looked at the tickets until I looked at the ticket this morning. So with that being said, good morning. Good morning, good morning. And it actually worked out perfectly because I didn't have a guest for today. And I really hope you all can hear me. I'm using my headphone this morning. And so I want to make sure that you all can hear me. So as you come on, say hi to me because one, your hi definitely matters for lots of reasons. Because one, it'll let me know that you hear me. But two, it'll let me know that you're there and that you are engaging. And so even as I'm changing these privacy settings, got that done. Um, we are going to talk about um, excuse me, we are going to talk about accountability as our first fruit, right? We're going to talk about, so we talked about, so first of all, y'all already know, if y'all have been with me for these last, I don't know, 20 or so days, 22 days, um, that we've talked about lots of things. We've talked about money. We've talked about relationships. We've talked about health and wealth. And we've talked about, treating ourselves well, self care. We've talked about self love. We've talked about obedience. So we talked about getting out of God's way. We've talked about Thanksgiving. So we've had lots and lots and lots and lots of topics. And so, one of the things that is near and dear to my heart is this idea and this notion of accountability. And my what I consider with accountability is this idea that um, that it's important for us to find the places and the people who are safe for us to be accountable to, right? And I know sometimes that can be difficult because I mean humans are humans, right? And so when people are fallible, like things can happen, right? And so we need to find those places that are safe. So that can be a therapist, it can be a pastor, it can be a teacher, it can be a trusted loved one. We want to make sure that we are in accountability for the things that we say that we want to do because that is how we move forward. One of the main things that um, I love to have conversation about is how we move forward. And I believe that it is accountability that helps us move forward. Because when somebody can speak to you and speak directly to your situation, um, it helps you to um, not only find the path, but it helps you to stay on the path and stick to what it is that you say that you're going to do, right? So like that. So for me, accountability is one of the main things that I try to do in all areas of my life, right? So spiritually, financially, um, mentally, um, and in just a lot of different ways. Like I have different coaches for different things. Like I don't have just one person that does all the things. Now, if you do, that's great. Like, and I love that for you. Um, for me though, like I found like for me, it was best to find places and people who specialize in certain areas, right? there's a scripture in the Bible that says there is safety in the multitude of counselors, right? And so I just believe that it is there is safety when we have those who can speak into us, and I think that that's important. And so I'm going to give you guys a um, acronym that I use that helps me to one, stay in accountability, but also two, it just helps me in movement, right? And if you listen to anything I've done in the last probably literally decade or more, I've used this acronym called AGES, and it stands for accountability, growth, excellence, and structure. And that is what I use to measure where I am and what it is that I need to do. So, as far as accountability, listen, is there somebody who can speak to you? Is there somebody who can speak to your situation? Is there something that you can be accountable to? And sometimes it's not a person, sometimes it's us being accountable to ourselves, and sometimes it's us being accountable to um, like a method or a practice, right? So one thing that I'm accountable to is my calendar and my phone. So if I have a meeting, if I have something to do, it's going in the calendar. Listen, if it does not go in the calendar, it does not exist. So if we have a conversation and we're like, we're gonna do such and such, and you talking to me, like make sure that I pick up my calendar and put it into the calendar. So the calendar keeps me accountable. I'm in accountability with my spiritual directors and my coaches for my business and different things of that nature. So is there somebody who can ask you the right questions? Because sometimes the only thing that we need to do to move is have the right questions asked of us. Okay. And so is there somebody that can ask you the right questions? Okay. Um, Second is growth. Growth is what we're doing and what we're being accountable to, is it helping us to grow? Or is it helping us to help other people to grow? See, sometimes it's not just only about us, right? Sometimes it's about others. Sometimes it's about how we can see and how we can measure what we've done. The one thing I love about this idea of growth is that it is literally about measurement. It is about, am I in a different place today than I was yesterday, right? So you can ask that question. Um, the other thing is being able to see like those measurable goals, right? And so growth is about, it literally isn't about helping. It's about helping others to grow, helping myself to grow. All right. And then excellence. Excellence is this idea that everything that I do, I am doing it to my best. That's what first fruits is all about. Like, are we doing this thing to our best? Now, here's what we need to know about excellence. Listen, my best today may not be the same as my best at another time, right? So my best today may be a full out 10, 10 out of 10, recommend, right? And that might be my best today. Tomorrow, my best may be a two and a nap because listen, things change, situations change, times change, all of those kinds of things. And so we can't always hold ourselves to a standard of perfection, right? Our best is different at different times. And so a really great way to be able to measure your best is to ask a question like literally to measure whether or not you're doing moving in excellence is asking yourself, did you do your best? Did you do the very best that you could with what you had, with what knowledge you had, with what resources you have? Are you doing your absolute best? That's the question, right? And here's the thing, if you can answer to yourself that you are doing the best that you absolutely can, then guess what? You are operating in excellence, right? Now, that does not mean that we don't need to expand our best. Let's be clear, just because we're doing our best, it does not mean that we don't need to expand that space. Okay. All right. Good morning, Diage. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, girl. Appreciate it. We are talking about accountability, growth, excellence, and structure. So I just got to talking about this idea of doing our best and our best encompassing different things at different times, right? And so, um, and then the final step in that is this idea of structure. What things do you have in place that ensure that you're going that things can be repeated and duplicated, right? Now, a system, a structure does not mean that it has to be rigid. And so I want to be very clear about that because sometimes we hear the word structure, we're like, oh my God, that just means that everything has to be so rigid and it has to be so, um, like, whatever. No, that's not necessarily what structure is about. Some structures are rigid, but also some structures are flexible. So we have to assess the situation around us and make sure we recognize whether we need a rigid structure or flexible structure. All right. Somebody put in the chat for me, rigid structure or flexible structure. All right. Let me give you a quick example of that. So a rigid structure may be when we're talking about, I'm glad DIG is here for this one, right? We're talking about a weight loss goal. A rigid structure depends on how fast you're trying to get there, how fast you're trying to get to your goal. So you may be very much in a space where it is counting calories, it is counting your macros versus micros, it's counting your amounts of protein and stuff going in. So that may be a time when you're doing a rigid structure, when there is a goal that you're trying to meet. And you know that if you work outside of that rigid structure, you're not going to get to that goal fast enough, right? Or at the rate that you want to get to it. Well, a flexible structure is that which you need to know, for lack of better terms, uh, in that same example of weight loss, if you're not trying to get to like a goal weight, in 10 days and 20 days, the structure may not have to be as rigid, but there need to be some things within the structure that you have to do. And so that means that you can be a little bit more flexible. So you might be able to have a celebration meal once a week or something of that nature, right? And so when I think about a rigid versus versus a flexible structure, I think about a Ziploc bag versus a cardboard box. So you have to know what you're going to put into that box. I mean, into those structures to determine what structure you need. I would never put water into a cardboard box, right? Because of course it's going to melt the box. It's going to the box will leak and all of those things. That is not an appropriate structure for water. But I can put water in a Ziploc bag. You get what I'm saying? So while that rigid structure of the box may not be appropriate for the fluidity, right, of the water. All right. So that is that mechanism that I use that helps me. And so ages has been a part of my first fruits for, man, like I said, greater than a decade. So accountability, who are you in accountability with? Who can keep you accountable? Who can ask you the right questions? And so I started off talking about this idea that accountability is so important. So when we start thinking about who we need to be in accountability with, let's think about where we need to grow. Let's think about how we need to operate in excellence. And let's think about what structure do we need and what is appropriate for what it is that we're doing. I see you put that in the chat for me, DIG, rigid versus flexible. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Listen, for those of you who are just popping on, I'm really just having a brief conversation about um, accountability, growth, excellence, and structure. These are ways in which we can find ourselves into a heavy and a strong momentum to reach the goals that we want to reach, to be able to measure how far we've come from one place to the next, and to just help us to be able to remain in excellence and make sure that we remain doing the best that we can. So as you talk about this idea of accountability, just pause and ask yourself a few questions. Who am I in accountability with? What kind of accountability do I need? Um, and then finally, want to talk about if you just catch it, if you just pop it on, say hi because your hi matters, right? And then also, I want to say if you're catching the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay. Now, um, the last thing I was getting ready to say something and it left me, but that's all right. Uh, I think it's gone. Yeah, it's pretty much gone. So we're gonna just um, make sure that when we're talking about first fruits, that we can find ourselves in that space of ages, accountability, growth, excellence, and structure, and then um, uh, I want us to make sure that we are honoring God from that space. It honors God when we are in accountability. He did not create us to be here alone. He did not create us to have to try to find our own way. That's not how God created us. He created us to be in community. And that's what accountability is about. It's about being in community. And we talked about community before a few days ago on the show with Dawn, who is our resident expert on getting out of God's way. We talked about how we have to find ourselves when we find ourselves in community, we have to make sure that we are setting the appropriate boundaries that we need and all of those kinds of things. And I think when we're in a place of accountability, that makes that thing that much easier. Okay. All right. So let's do a couple of announcements. We are still giving away books. I think we got 2 more to give away. And if you want the book, this is the book that we are giving away. I told y'all I like to give away stuff for my birthday because it's my birthday and I like to give it away. So this is a book that I wrote in. It is called Launch the Legacy. The visionary author of this anthology was Dr. Allie Griffith. And I was like, I think it's about 15 other people who were authored in that book. I could be making that up too, though. So I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But what I can say is I wrote chapter 1. I do know that. And so chapter 1 is called Finally Living My Dreams. And it was super significant for me to give this book away in this season because the reality is that God has been so good to me. And so it feels like I'm living my dreams, right? And I have been for some time, but just want to be able to share that and share that space with someone. So if that's you and you want that book, all you got to do is put in the chat, I want that book. I'm going to ask that you tag me this time because, like I said, I know we're coming on a little bit early for our normal show because we normally come on at 6 a.m., but we came on at 5 a.m. this morning. So make sure that you tag me. And then I will make sure that I get the information that you need and you can DM your information to me so that the book can get mailed out to you. It doesn't cost you anything. It literally is a gift. It's my gift to you for my birthday because I like to give away things for my birthday, and that is a thing for me. And so after the book, we have some more things that are going to be given away. So some other announcements is we have our my other book, my seminal work. My first work is called Leveraging Hope. And it really is this idea of being able to move into purpose and how that works. And how leveraging hope will help us to move into purpose. So I'm excited about that work coming out. Looking to drop that soon, and we're looking to drop some pre-sale stuff on that really, really soon. So that's coming up. So we got Leveraging Hope coming up. We got the book we're giving out. And the last thing that I've been talking about for the last all these days is this Aruba retreat that is happening. There's going to be 4 nights in Aruba from 10/3 to 10/7. And we are going to have an absolutely amazing time. And if you think that this time is for you, if for any reason you looked at that poster and you were like, man, I know that I'm supposed to be there, I need you to pause and get with me on being able to get there. I don't care if you're getting ready to tell me you don't got the money, if you're getting ready to tell me you don't got whatever. Let's talk about it and see what the options actually are. Don't talk yourself out of what God has for you next. Period. The first time that I went to Aruba for a retreat, I literally was able to go because I had this same conversation I'm telling you to have with me. And it was like pretty much the week before, I think, there was a room left and it happened to be my room. So, and I was able to figure out and do the things that needs to be done to get there. And I can help you do that if that's something you're interested in. If you feel a tug from God to be there, listen, you need to contact me ASAP. And if you're looking for information on the retreat, go to arubajoy.com. That is arubajoy.com. So Um, that is all I have for this morning. I am going to pop off of here, and I'm actually going to rerun this at 6 a.m. So if you're catching this and you're catching this part where I'm telling you that I'm rerunning this at 6 a.m., go ahead and put I'm catching this on the replay, hashtag replay, so that I know that you are here. Okay. Thank you for being with me. For those of you who have popped in this morning, I know that it's early, and I noticed that it's not our normal time. But I am excited with God about what God is doing, and um, I could not risk not doing my first fruits because that's what this time is about. That's what um, this countdown is about, just first fruits being my lifestyle. So if that means that I got to do it in the airport because that also is my lifestyle, listen. And when I tell y'all, I am literally, and I'm not in no special place. I'm not in no corner. Like I am literally in the airport, sitting across from people. I was here first, but it is what it is. Because listen, God has been too good to me. God has been too good to me for me to dumb it down or play it differently. So this is what we doing. This is where we are. This is where we are today. So this is where first fruits happens. Period. It's happening, rain or shine. Right. Like so, we're just gonna make a way for first fruits to happen whenever, wherever. So that is it. That is all. I want you to join me tomorrow right here. We'll be back at our regular time at 6 a.m. Tomorrow is Wednesday. So Wednesday is getting out of God's way Wednesdays, getting out of God's way Wednesdays. Dawn Stevens will be with us, our resident expert on getting out of God's way. It's going to be a good conversation. I already know, just because I already know God has anointed us to be in community in this season, so I'm excited about that. I was going to show y'all something, but I don't think I have it accessible. So, anywho, I'm going to get off of here so I can prepare to get on the plane and do this site visit and do what I encourage everybody else to do, and that is take care of themselves, take a moment to rest and reset. I think that that is so important in this season. So I'm being accountable to myself. I'm being accountable to God. I'm being accountable to um, my coaches, and I'm being accountable to the people who are going to show up next week because I need, in a couple weeks rather, for the Destiny Retreat, right? Where we are going to be cape free. We're going to take those capes off. We're not trying to do all the this ands, right? Um, but I need to be in a space, right, where God has poured into me and poured out exactly what He wants for this. So I'm excited about this time away that I'm going. It is literally a little mini sabbatical in my favorite place on earth. So I'm excited about that. So for my mini sabbatical and site visit, all right. So again, if you are here, say hi to me because your hi matters. If you're catching this on the replay, and if you're catching it today at the 6 o'clock hour, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching it. My prayer is that God will bless you in a way that that, like in a way that is tangible, that there will be something that you can touch and you can feel that will allow you to um, to see God differently, that will allow you to uh, see God for yourself, that will allow you to feel Abba's love in your life, that will allow you to feel the way that God loves you and that He thought of you and that He considered you long before this day and time. Okay. So that's it. That's all. That's all I got. You all be blessed. Remember to find the space of accountability that you need. Remember to find who God has set apart for you to be in accountability with, who can ask you the right questions, and who you need to be in accountability with, right? Who needs to be in accountability with you, because it is a two-way street. These relationships are two-way streets. It is not this or that. It is this and that, okay? All right, my friends. That's it for real. You all be blessed. Um, yep, I think I said it all. You all be blessed.